Hey, it's Ben from LaunchFlows.com. In this video, I'm going to answer some common questions for those of you who are using the Divi theme with Divi Builder. Now, one of the things I want to point out is Divi is very unique because it allows you to use the theme even if you don't choose to make all of the content with the builder. And that's going to come up in a second when I show you the kind of comparative between using Divi modules to do layout for your checkout, sales, thank you, and so forth, upsell pages, versus using Gutenberg and simply having it wrapped with the Divi theme. Nevertheless, let's talk about the basics. First of all, Divi allows you to create custom page templates. Now, if you want to do so, you should make a shell for your pages so that the output of your customizations kind of stays within the realm of padded columns. In the older Divi versions, there used to be a template selector that would let you select between full width or padded. Here, the template option allows you to do that. If you don't want to do that, we have already built something in under the LaunchFlows menu called the WooCommerce utility, set the LaunchFlows container width. And here, for most Divi layouts, the default will be 1060 pixels, maybe 1059. This will give you a nice output, regardless of what your other design setups are for the background template. Now, having said that, the basic premise of LaunchFlows is that it takes the output of either your WooCommerce checkouts or your products, and it allows you to do two things. First of all, to make the kind of connections you need in order to have sales funnels, so the mechanics of the sales process, but also if you want the design. So let's go over here and let's take a look at a page. I've created a starting point. We don't need to have any specific type of a post. You can use pages, posts, or even custom post types like lessons. Here I've gone ahead and I've set up an initial page. Here I'm going to make this into a custom checkout, and I'm not doing it to walk you through every detail, but just to show you how the basics of Divi would work. Let's actually add a new one because that was not the one that I wanted to. So let's call this new Divi checkout. First of all, what we want to do is to make this into just a global checkout. We're going to go on the page sidebar. Here I'm using Gutenberg, not Classic, and we're going to enable the LaunchFlows checkout. This by itself is going to create the components on the page for WooCommerce. Now, this eliminates and avoids the need for you to have to use a different shortcode. You don't want to use both. If we click on preview, we'll be able to see here that we've got the nice layout of the default components, and that's going to have a full width in most cases of 1060. You'll notice that we've also got this sidebar here. We want to get rid of that sidebar. We don't really want that. So let's get rid of that by going over here from our template, and we can choose anything we want. We can use blank page, we can use element or canvas. If we go ahead and use the Divi Builder, however, we'll be able to stick with the underlying Divi theme for the header and footer, and we'll be able to use the Divi Builder for the middle part, and that's the kind of purpose of this. Let's go ahead and update the page. And we're going to start building from scratch. And in this particular case, I can add a new row for anything that I want to modify. So I'll just make a full width for now, and I'm going to add something into which I can move the coupon code. Now, with LaunchFlows, if you don't do anything, as you'll see, we'll just end up with the default components. But if I want to start reorganizing things, it's like taking an X-Acto blade and cutting out the pieces that were at the bottom and moving them up and positioning them in the space above. So let's, for right now, do nothing. We'll just leave the section in the row in place. And let's save this, because I want to show you, first of all, just by engaging with the Divi Builder, the output on the front is going to get rid of the sidebar. So here's what we've got just from engaging the Divi Builder. You'll notice the output below is the default WooCommerce layout. And by the way, we also have an option here. You don't have to engage it, but for many people this is a good option, to make it into a single column without having to do any extra work. So one of the nice things here is that you may just wish to reorganize it in a nice vertical way anyway. So that is right here, force WooCommerce default layout into one column. You don't always need to use that, but watch what that does. So that'll take it from 2 columns to 1 column. Okay. And if we were to adjust our width here a little bit more, we might do maybe even a little less than that. Maybe from 1060, I might do something like 800 as a nice width. So right off the bat, you could see 2 ways without having to do any dragging and dropping how you can immediately start to adjust the layouts and make things, a little more interesting. Next, let's talk about the actual movement of stuff. Notice at the top here, we've got the WooCommerce use your coupon code. This is a separate form from the checkout form, so it by default goes above it. We can move it into the layout if we want, simply by putting it here into the space where we're able to kind of remix stuff. And by the way, if you're confused about what I'm talking about, if you go to launchflows.com, documentation, in the getting started, I put a picture, a diagram together to show you what this is. So if we say, what is LaunchFlows? You can see what I'm talking about here. Here is the normal checkout components that get onto a page just by checking that checkbox for add a checkout. Above it is where you can mix the components you want to reorganize or not at all. So that's what we're doing. We're putting stuff into the purple box with Divi, right? So here, let's add the coupon. Now, if you also need the shortcodes, we've got those documented here under the documentation shortcode. I'm going to show you in a second how you can mix Divi with Gutenberg, but in the meantime, you can just use the shortcodes that are useful for each of the components. So for our coupon, we just literally search for coupon. Let's just do a COUPN. And here, coupon fields, LFWC coupon. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add. Now this is what's fun or interesting. You need something that will output the shortcode. So it should be a text field or something along those lines works really nice. I'm just going to use text. And I want to go into text mode, paste it in. Now here's one of the quirky things of working with Divi. This happens on some other page builders too. When you put in a coupon or other shortcode, it's going to effectively look like it's not there, but it is there. And I can't do anything about that. This is one of the reasons why, as I'll show you in a second, you might want to mix and match with Gutenberg instead. But let's just, for the sake of argument, put that there and click Save. And what we'll see is that the coupon has moved from the top to the layout where we've got it. Okay. Now, if I wanted to make this nice and parallel, I could restore this, for example, to that 1060. And it'll be a nice uniform look. Otherwise, you can just simply adjust the width of that custom section from 1060 down to the 900 or whatever to match it. Now, what if I wanted to rearrange it, for example, so that the order review is at the top? Well, same idea. I just go over here, and I'm in this section anyway. I can go ahead and either add a new module, which I think is the way I'll do it, and I'm going to move the order review. Again, if I want to reference this, I can just go alphabetical order, review order fields. All right. So LF review. I do the same thing. And now what we'll find is that the order review fields and the coupon fields will both be in that new space. And let's save this. Okay. And refresh the page. And if we want, we can rearrange it, right? We can put the review above the coupon or whatever we want to do. Now, this whole process is exactly the same as I show inside of the documentation or that I show in all the other videos when using Gutenberg. But here's the thing I want to show you. Divi is great because it's Divi, but the truth is Divi is still the theme underneath here, right? So if you have a customer or your own site that's using Divi, here's a better way, in my opinion. My opinion, based upon doing this a lot, is let's edit this page, and instead of using Divi for the layout, let's use Gutenberg. And here's why. Watch this. So I'm going to return to the default editor on this same page. Now I'm going to go and, for example, go to patterns.launchflows. And I'm going to look at all these cool checkouts that I've got that are already ready to go. So it doesn't matter what I'm looking at. Here's the one I used for the new AppSumo. I can review it and even test it here, but if I want to use it, I copy the pattern code, simply go to the page, and I paste it. And now all the components I need are in place. When I update the page, I now get this complete thing ready to go in about 2 seconds. And I still have Divi above and below and to the side and around the rest of my theme. But now I'm going to get the output I want. exactly as I wish. Now, of course, in this particular case, I would want to customize this page to get rid of the sidebar and so forth, but that's just a main Divi setting. But the neat thing is that you can mix and match Gutenberg and Divi. And the result is that now you've got everything in plain view, plus you're getting to benefit from a lot of the other cool things that work natively with Gutenberg. So this hybrid is the way that I really suggest most Divi people operate. Plus, you've also got all the new blocks and the other full site editing stuff. So for example, if I wanted to, I could literally start from scratch and click the button over here to select from patterns and so forth. So when you're using Divi, just understand, yes, there's a small limitation that's a weird one. When you put a shortcode into a text block, it seems to disappear, but it's still there. Just drag and drop it by rolling your mouse over, but give some consideration to using Gutenberg. The truth is, in 2022 and beyond, I'm trying to figure out what the direction of LaunchFlows should be. And although I originally built it with the idea that Elementor was the primary builder, Divi was always an option. Gutenberg has really made it clear that that should be the primary way that people build these pages, because I'm going to be able to offer all these ready-to-use Gutenberg, which is native editor, sales funnel components. So why not have the best of both worlds? You can use Elementor or Divi for the surrounding stuff and just use the Gutenberg stuff inside the sandwich between the top and bottom pieces of bread with the pickle on the side. This is Spence. I'll see you on the next video.